Part 34. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 332. Wake up again. The leader of the Mengui gang saw that his movements had been restricted, and a soul-enchanting chain tied him up and hung him in the air. Am I okay? He was stunned inwardly. I don't quite understand the current situation. You woke up. The operation was successful. You are now a beautiful girl. At this time, Shen Jian's voice sounded. He sat by the stone well of a ruined ghost house and looked at the leader of the fierce ghost gang in front of him with interest. Leader of Mengui gang? Grass. Hearing this, he was almost scared out of his mind. Is this damn human being performing an excision surgery on him? He checked subconsciously. Then, there was a sudden pause. Wrong. I'm dead a long time ago, I had to cut out all my ghosts. See this? The Mengui gang raised their heads and looked at Shen Jian with malicious eyes. You knew already? Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. Don't worry, I don't have that habit, but without the yin qi to cover it up, any ghost king can detect your transformation into a human being. Leader of the Mengui gang. He fell silent. No more struggling and became very calm. But the veins on his forehead undoubtedly revealed something. See this? Shen Jian also clicked his tongue. He didn't expect that. The leader of the Mengui gang in front of him was actually controlling the torso of the Manchuo ghost god. This is pretty much the most important piece of the puzzle. Connect the left arm, left leg, and head. But just like the severed fingers of his left arm in his hand, the torso of Mondo ghost god is not complete and lacks the most important male characteristics. And the leader of the Mengui gang, who has mastered this piece of the puzzle of ghosts and gods, is naturally missing this part of the organ. No wonder this good eldest brother chose a platonic way of getting along with his ghost sister-in-law Lu Rong, and his love was out of his will. May I ask, how did you make this decision that went against your ancestors? Shen Jian asked curiously. When you wake up in the middle of the night, do you feel empty? Are you going to the men's room or the women's room? Shen Jian's witty remarks came one after another. Every word was like a knife, stabbing the leader of the Mengui gang deeply. The terrifying yin qi belonging to the abyss-level ghost surged out. It shook violently, as if boiling. It can be seen that the leader of the Mengui gang is not quiet at this moment. Judging from the anger in the other party's eyes, if given the chance, he would definitely not mind fighting Shen Jian to the end. Shen Jian smiled. His eyes casually glanced at the game panel. Epic hidden mission has been activated. Discover the Ghost and God puzzle. Taboo for Ghosts and Gods, Manchuo. Current part, torso, incomplete. Note, the current puzzle has an owner and cannot be conquered. Note, if the grievance exceeds the limit, it can be forcibly untied. Task progress, 1/6. Collected, the ghost's left arm has a cut-off finger, the ghost's right arm. Shen Jian withdrew his gaze. He continued to look at the leader of the Mengui gang who was filled with anger and resentment. Oh my god! The words have not yet finished. The leader of the Mengui gang finally couldn't bear it anymore. That's too much bullying. Is this all you have? Don't think that I don't know what you are thinking. Let me tell you, it is absolutely impossible for you to get this piece of the ghost puzzle that I have. Moreover, if I give it to you, do you dare to use it? If you master this piece of the puzzle, you will become just like me, unless you can find the missing piece, but I am certain that the ghost town does not have this piece of the puzzle. Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. I saw that the resentment of the leader of the Mengui gang was gradually dissipating. Think about it. Oh my god. Shen Jian said, do you know why I call you that? Flowers are of no use to me. The leader of the Mengui gang said coldly. Shen Jian ignored it and said casually, because in a short time, I will be your stepfather. Leader of Mengui gang? He was slightly startled. These words. He seemed to have heard it once before. But just think that Shen Jian is having fun. Didn't take it to heart. However, Shen Jian spoke again at this moment. Especially when the word stepdad comes out. He immediately thought of something. The pupils shrank. When he looked at Shen Jian again, his eyes almost burst into flames. He thought that his mother had also talked to him about the person in front of him. The words seemed quite optimistic. Could it be? This moment. He couldn't stand it any longer. You ride the horse. I regard you as my little brother, but you actually want to be my father. You really deserve to die. The leader of the Mengui gang's eyes were about to burst. The resentment is overwhelming. On his body, the torso puzzle pieces from the Mondo ghosts and gods are continuously providing resentment, and the level of yin qi, which is already infinitely close to the unsolvable level ghost, is constantly rising. At some point, he finally broke through the limits. Promoted to an unsolvable level devil. He became the third top ghost king after the withered old man, the leader of the 10,000 ghost sect. However, at this moment, the leader of the Mengui gang was already blinded by anger, and he kept breaking free from the chains that bound him. As his movements became more intense, the soul-enchanting chains are also clanging. It seemed like it would be broken at any time. Shen Jian was thoughtful. It seems that the strength of the soul-seducing chain can only restrain the ghosts below the top ghost king. Shen Jian is very satisfied with this result. The soul-enchanting chain is a standard underworld weapon, and Yinan has one in hand. It is a rare weapon that can restrain the ghosts below the top ghost king. Thinking. While struggling, the leader of the Mengui gang roared, "Damn it, you really deserve to die for stepping on the horse. I'm warning you, if you dare to lay a finger on my mother, I will kill you." Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. About there. Think about it. Shen Jian pointed behind him and said, "There is something behind you. Hear this." The leader of the Men Ghost gang said disdainfully, "Do you think I am a 3-year-old child? Do you believe such nonsense? I am now the top ghost king, and I have the same unbreakable supernatural power as you. Even if I can't beat you, don't even think about it. Defeat me easily. Behind you." "Shut up, you are playing such a trick." The leader of the Mengui gang was about to shout, but suddenly his expression froze. Because he seemed to really notice something behind him. He turned around with difficulty. Just in time, he saw a shadow standing behind him that was completely black and seemed to be made of condensed shadows. Leader of Mengui gang. Damn it! There really is something. You old man. Just as he showed a hint of horror, he saw Yingui pluck him on the head. His head was removed. The limbs also fell off. Only a complete torso remained. Current mission progress, 2/6. Note, players who collect 1/6 of the Ghost and God puzzle pieces have unlocked special rewards. Special reward, Ghost Torso, incomplete. Portable. Transplantation site, trunk. It is detected that the player has collected 2 Ghost and God puzzle pieces. If you collect 3 Ghost and God puzzle pieces, you can get Ghosts and Gods. Looking at the information above, Shen Jian finally became somewhat interested. Putting together the 6 pieces of the puzzle of Manchuo Ghost and God, and allowing him to revive supernaturally, this will be the key to unlocking the last 3 levels of the 18 levels of Hell. And in the process, there can be unexpected gains. Shen Jian expressed great satisfaction. The mood was great. As for the leader of the Mengui gang, just stuff him into a sack. A top ghost king cannot be wasted. Do it all. Shen Jian walked out of the haunted house. Time flies. 10 days flew by. This day, the whole ghost town was quiet. All the ghosts spontaneously stood on the street and began to move towards Baikan district. Everyone showed extremely excited expressions. Among them, some were forced into the ghost town, some were escorted into the ghost town, and some have lived in the ghost town since birth and have never seen the outside world in their lives. Now I have the chance to leave. No evil ghost wants to stay here. Stay in this fighting city where you may die at any time. This day. It is destined to be recorded in the history of the horror world. Nanli Ghost Town is about to open the gate of hell. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 333. This day. The gate of hell is about to open. Countless ghosts have gathered in Baikan district, staring at the door in Baikan district that is only 2 meters in size. Everyone's eyes are burning. That's the ghost town gate. Open it and you can get out of the ghost town and return to the horror world. Not long after, a circle of ghosts opened the way, and blood spread. Then, a pale hand climbed up from the bloody water. The blue-gray ghost's face was full of excitement. The supernatural oppression belonging to the top ghost king unfolds unconsciously. The crowd of ghosts present all turned pale and looked in awe. Here comes the leader of the Wangui section. Is he going to open the gate to the ghost city? Could it be that he has already advanced to become a ghost? There were fierce ghosts whispering around. No, it is said that the leader of the 10,000 Ghosts sect exterminated his relatives and destroyed his own 10,000 Ghosts sect, and thus gained a life. Who's holding on to it like that? I do not know. Under discussion. A wooden coffin emerged from the blood. The coffin is opened. An old man with a yellow face walked out of it. Staring at the door in front of him, his white pupils were also filled with excitement. A supernatural wave more terrifying than the leader of the Wangui cult swept through the surroundings. Many red-clad fierce ghosts already had their legs beating. I almost couldn't stand still. Who is this old man? Why do you think he is more terrifying than the leader of the Wangui sect? I heard that he was the previous leader of the Wangui sect and the ancestor of the current leader. He volunteered to have his coffin sealed just to wait for this opportunity. Are you so awesome? 666. The ancestors have already appeared. This 10,000 Ghost sect is too terrifying. No wonder no one dares to challenge its status. Many evil spirits gave him inferior respect. A 10,000 Ghost sect, 2 top ghost kings, one stronger than the other. With such strength, who dares to provoke them? It seems that today's protagonists are them. 2 top ghost kings, one of whom is an ancestor-level ghost king. Together, they should be able to open the door here. It's hard to say. There has been a saying in the ghost town for a long time, only by advancing to the level of ghosts and gods can you step out of the ghost town. This shows that there is a huge danger behind the ghost gate. Without the ghosts and gods, you may not be able to get out. It's impossible that the leader of the Wangui sect doesn't know about this kind of thing. Since he has chosen to open the ghost gate, he is naturally certain. The ghosts discussed. Most people looked expectantly at the 2 top ghost kings who were the strongest in the field. Until a cursing voice sounded. What a fool, why don't you come over and open the door with the key? You want me to wait for you, right? Ghosts? They were all stunned. I am super. Who is so brave? Dare you point your finger at the noses of 2 top ghost kings and scold them? Don't want to live anymore? The ghosts looked around. I saw a man with black hair and black eyes standing in front of the ghost gate, with a blood-stained hemp rope wrapped around his wrist and a small mannequin hanging on it. Zheng said with an unhappy expression. All the evil spirits thought this man was crazy. How dare you be so presumptuous in front of 2 top ghost kings? Some evil ghosts who respect their strength have already exposed their fangs, and the yin-qi fluctuations are spreading. They are waiting for the leader of the Wangui sect to speak, so that they can capture this person and show off their presence in front of the two top ghost kings. Then, next moment, the withered old man had already run over with a dry smile, and kept explaining, "Sir, we wasted some time in order to make these evil ghosts who are unwilling to leave here change their minds." The leader of the Wangui cult had a gloomy look in his eyes, but looking at his ancestor who was forcing a smile on his face, he could only express humiliation and humility. "Sir, please forgive me." Shen Jian raised his eyebrows and said, "The key is with you, come and open the door." "Understand." The leader of Wangui cult sneered and ran over quickly. Looking at this scene, the whole place fell silent. Top Ghost King? Is one stronger than the other? Damn it! The urge to call comes and the wave goes away. These are two little brothers. There is no trace of the majesty of the top Ghost King and the leader of the 10,000 Ghost sect in the saddle. This moment, a certain image in their minds was shattered. The more than 40 players who survived also cast their awe-inspiring eyes on Shen Jian. Lie down and win. This time, they won the dungeon simply by lying down. Whether it's rescuing players who have clues about ghost tattoos, dismantling the fierce ghost gang, saving the supernatural auction house, or now conquering the 10,000 ghost sect. Which of these is not the key to effecting the copy mission? However, none of this has anything to do with them. They participated in the whole process and witnessed the whole process. Witness how Shen Jian went from being the chief physician of the Men Ghost Gang to the lord of the ghost town who commands the entire city. The whole process took less than a month. This kind of miracle cannot be replicated. Not far away, the son of the river god was heartbroken. He originally thought that as long as he endured hardships in the ghost city and officially promoted to the abyss-level ghost, he could snatch his mother back from this human being. Save the river goddess from the devil's cave. But now, even the top ghost kings were driven by this human being as if they were cattle and horses. If he wants to take his mother back, he may have to reach the level of a ghost. Think of this. He despaired. I just feel like my future is slim. He had already made up his mind to secretly discuss the escape plan with his mother when he returned to the horror world. Although this human being was strong, he was not omnipotent. It is even more impossible to imprison his mother all the time. He just needs to find an opportunity to let his mother escape from prison with him. The jailbreak plan has already taken shape in his mind. Looking at the leader of Wangui cult who was opening the door, Shen Jian held the hand of his sister-in-law Lu Rong with his backhand. "Sister-in-law, you seem a little nervous." The ghost sister-in-law looked melancholy. "I have lived in a ghost town since I was born. I have never seen the outside world in my life. I have only heard other people describe it. Now that I have to leave here, I am really at a loss. Besides, you are in public, aren't you afraid of being gossiped about?" At the end of the sentence, the ghost sister-in-law Lu Rong had already lowered her head. Somewhat angry. She didn't need to think about it to know that most of the eyes of the audience were focused on her man at this moment, and Shen Jian's intimate behavior towards her would naturally be noticed. And not long ago, she was the future leader's wife of the Mengui gang. Now I am openly intimate with another man. This is enough for others to imagine and come up with countless versions of the story. It doesn't matter, these people won't have a chance to talk about it then. Shen Jian's face showed some excitement. This will be his biggest gain since entering the thriller game. A chance to unlock 2 levels of 18 levels of hell at once. Think of this. The smile on Shen Jian's mouth was a little uncontrollable. Crunch. At the same time, the leader of Wangui sect has also opened the ghost gate. A gap was exposed. All of a sudden, an unspeakable gloom surged over him. Look faintly. It seems that you can see the dark flowing light and shadow behind the ghost gate. Boom. 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 As the door of hell is opened. This seemed to alert the ghost behind the door. Violent crashes continued to sound. It seemed like countless ghosts were banging against the gate, trying to break into the ghost town. Woo-wee-view. Grrrrrrrrrrrr. He 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 he. Cries, laughter, shrill sounds. Creepy. Even the leader of the 10,000 Ghost sect, who was the top ghost king, felt an unspeakable palpitation in his heart. It was as if there was something behind the ghost gate that could threaten his life. Gilug. He swallowed, and cold sweat broke out on his back. What the hell is behind this ghost door? It actually made him feel threatened by death. No wonder it is said that only ghosts and gods can open this door. This sentence has a certain truth. I might know what's behind this. At this time, the withered old man came out. Shenjian raised his eyebrows and said, "Tell me. Sir, you must also know the truth about the ghost city's reincarnation once every 100 years. No matter how small the population of the ghost city is, it still has more than 3,000 people. With so many evil ghosts, even if the ghost city can kill them all, what about the corpses? The ghosts are immortal and the evil ghosts are immortal." The withered old man said solemnly. "I guess that these corpses were probably thrown into the ghost gate and turned into a different kind of collection of resentment. This is also the biggest natural danger of the ghost town, which completely isolates the place. In other words, what we are facing are all the resentments of ghosts and ghosts accumulated in the ghost city in the past few hundred years. This is why we say that we cannot leave the ghost city without ghosts and gods." As soon as these words came out, whether it was the son of the river god, the bull-headed horse-faced man, or the ghost king present, including the leader of the Wangui sect, the expressions of all ghost king level ghosts changed. The number of evil ghosts and resentments accumulated in recent hundreds of years is probably over tens of thousands. With such huge resentment, even ghosts and gods would have to lose their arms before they could rush out. The expressions of the ghosts changed as they talked. Shenjian's eyes became brighter and brighter. Not only did he take a breath of cold air. Could it be that he could still fill all the 18 levels of hell here? While thinking. Bang bang. The crashing sound grew louder. Through a small gap that opened, a resentful ghost face with only its head left rushed into the ghost town. Each of these ghost faces has a resentment comparable to that of a red-clothed ghost. He was roaring with a venomous look on his face. There is no sanity at all, and his face looks crazy. "These ghosts are coming in, deal with them." The leader of Wangui sect shouted loudly. "Stop, how can you be so violent to these lovely creatures?" Shenjian stopped him immediately. "Ghosts? What a lovely kind of god. Is there something wrong with your aesthetics? How could these ferocious, malicious, crazy, and twisted faces be so cute?" Next moment, under everyone's gaze, Shenjian caught a grimace. The two big dicks were beaten with a bang. Vicious grimace. Grass. Do you know how humiliating a big dick is to me? Ghostface opened his bloody mouth and was about to bite Shenjian. Bang bang bang. Shenjian slapped him a few more times. Ghostface was completely silent. Shenjian observed carefully for a while. Then, the excitement on his face suddenly solidified. There was visible disappointment in his eyes. These resentments cannot be used as tools to unlock the 18th level of hell. Think of this. Shenjian pinched his face. There was obvious disgust in his eyes. "What the hell is this? It's so disgusting," said. Shenjian crushed the grimace into pieces. "Damn, there are such ugly ghost things in this world, they are useless, bah. Group of ghosts. Damn it, your attitude changed too quickly. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 334. Chapter 333, This face, don't let it go. Crush the resentful grimace into pieces. Shenjian spat. What rubbish. Disgusting as hell. Disappointment was evident on his face. After the worthless ghost body of the paper man, he unlocked another useless ghost thing. That is a spiteful grimace based solely on resentment. This kind of ghost possesses a level of yin energy that is comparable to that of a red-clad ghost, but has no supernatural powers. It can only instinctively bite the enemy and make ghostly sounds that penetrate people. No, don't. At this time, a red-clothed fierce ghost was haunted by a malicious face and fell into madness. Eyes red. A look of madness on his face. Attack your friends around you. Every move is fatal. Then he was subdued by a bull-headed horse-faced man. Sir, this ghost seems to have supernatural power that can enter the human body. Once it is entangled, it may fall into a state of madness that cannot be extricated. And I found that the other party's supernatural level has also improved a bit, but the improvement is not large. Mamian escorted the unfortunate ghost here. Explained. Shenjian's eyes flashed. It turns out that this is the really scary thing about the spiteful grimace. Once entangled, you will fall into madness. A red-clothed level vicious ghost face entered the body of a red-clothed level ghost, and within 3 seconds it fell into an inextricable and crazy situation. This level of threat was almost as threatening as facing a ghost of the same level. Even the top ghost king may run the risk of losing control once he is entangled by more than 100 vicious ghost faces. And behind the ghost gate, there are probably tens of thousands of such ghost faces. Think of this. Everyone shuddered. Even the top ghost king, like the withered old man, showed a bit of fear. In addition to death, dismemberment, and supernatural loss of control, it is also an extremely terrifying thing for ghosts. Not to mention falling into a state of madness. Once you fall into the state, you may never wake up for the rest of your life, and you will eventually become one of the withered bones behind the ghost gate. Danger. Extremely dangerous. Now, no one dares to say that they can come out safe and sound after entering the ghost gate. The ghosts fell into a haze. If they want to get out of the ghost town, they need to face at least tens of thousands of vicious ghost faces. If they make any mistake, they will become the product of madness and become the parasite of the vicious ghost faces. The only person present who is confident is probably Shenjian. Then, the Ghost King level ghosts present all cast their gazes on Shenjian, who was standing aside. Huh? Where is Shenjian? The ghosts were shocked. It was there just now. Why is it so well gone? They looked at each other. Shenjian was seen waving a 2-meter-long black steel rod with excitement on his face, smashing all the vicious faces that rushed into the ghost town to death. On the black stick, a total of 70 dark red stars were shining with strange red light. It seemed like thousands of ghosts were trapped in it, letting out shrill wails. The ghosts felt a chill in their hearts. This ghost weapon is so evil. And at this time, Shenjian was also very happy. Because he finally discovered the purpose of these vicious faces. That's what makes a black steel rod. He obtained this black steel rod from a chef ghost named Master Xie in the Huanquan Hotel. Every time Master Xie defeated a ghost with his cooking skills, he would beat the ghost to death and make it resentful. A mark is formed on the black steel rod. The appearance of each dark red star will make the black steel rod heavier, and its lethality against evil spirits will be further enhanced. And the black steel rod with a total of 70 dark red stars can already pose a serious threat to ghosts below the Ghost King level. The pain when hit on the body is no less painful than being hit on the head by a morning stick. The spiteful grimace is undoubtedly the best upgrade material for the black steel rod. Smash all the malicious faces that rush into death. The number of dark red stars on the steel rod has increased to 72. The stick becomes thicker and thicker. A bright light flashed in Shen Jian's deep eyes. The joy that had disappeared before reappeared. Good stuff. Shen Jian once again pinched the malicious face that rushed out, and the smile on his face became kind. You cute little things are so naughty. Come in quickly and keep company with your good brothers. Finished. Shen Jian raised the black steel rod and struck it. Do it all. He was calculating something in his mind. The quality of these malicious faces was not as good as that of real ghosts. He had just made a rough count and killed hundreds of malicious faces, but the dark red stars had only increased by less than 5 stars. In other words, it would take 30 or 40 redcoat level vicious faces to make the black steel rod form a star. Shen Jian was thoughtful. Then he walked towards the ghost gate. He thrust the black steel rod in and swung it suddenly. A huge force came. Wailing sounds continued from behind the ghost gate. Shen Jian took out a black steel rod, and the dark red stars on it had turned into 80. This moment, Shen Jian's face showed the joy of an old farmer's harvest, and he muttered something. Nearly 300 of them were killed in one sweep. If we rush in, we will definitely be able to produce a weapon that is not weaker than the level of the top 10 yin gods, or even the level of the judge. Ghosts. They were stunned. Eyes widened. This is so damn cruel. Although these vicious ghost faces are not that threatening to the top ghost kings, killing 500 vicious ghost faces in a short period of time is too exaggerated. But then, Shen Jian was heard muttering to himself. The Wangui cult leader and others present could no longer stand. His eyes widened, and his ghostly face was covered in cold sweat. I know. Just open a crack, and hundreds of vicious faces will rush out in a short time. If you rush in, wouldn't you be seeking death? When they thought of this extremely terrifying man being haunted by a malicious face and falling into a state of madness, no one present dared to imagine the consequences. Sir, don't, this is too dangerous, we just need to put these ghosts in little by little. The leader of the Wangui cult blushed and shouted urgently. Sir, calm down. There are too many of these things, and even I can't stop them. The withered old man also spoke quickly. He was afraid that Shen Jian would rush in on impulse. Shen Jian casually grabbed a grimace and said excitedly, Danger? Do you think those cute little things are dangerous? How dangerous is this? These are obviously my little cuties. Group of ghosts. What a cutie. You were clearly saying these things were disgusting a few minutes ago. Why has the conversation changed now? You change your face very quickly. What? Don't you want to have some fun? Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. The leader of the 10,000 ghost sect, the withered old man, the bull-headed horse-faced man, the son of the river god, and all the ghost king level ghosts all changed their expressions and waved their hands. The thought of being entangled with this thing will make you crazy and out of control. Who dares to play with it? If someone is unlucky and a ghost king level malicious face comes out, is it okay? Shameless. Shen Jian was confirmed again. Group of ghosts. They were stunned for a moment. Then they all twitched the corners of their mouths. It always felt like Shen Jian was scolding them in a roundabout way. And they have proof. But he could only nod his head bravely. Yes, this face, don't think so. It's a pity. Shen Jian felt a little regretful. Then he said, in that case, you can help me collect the missing faces, and I'll go in and play with them first. Said. Shen Jian had already put one hand in. He looked determined to get in. Sir, calm down. Don't be impulsive. See it? Everyone panicked. He shouted quickly. The withered old man had already rushed forward, ready to pull Shen Jian back. What are you doing? Quickly persuade him to come back. If it doesn't work, stop him. The withered old man was simply convinced by these pig teammates. You definitely can't enter this ghost gate. Regardless of whether Shen Jian died inside or was influenced and fell into a state of madness, it would be unacceptable bad news for the entire ghost town. Now the door of hell has been opened and cannot be closed again. Once Shen Jian died inside, no one present could escape from the invasion of at least tens of thousands of vicious faces. If they fall into a state of madness, it will be even worse for them. He didn't want to try the feeling of being struck by lightning. Hear the words of the withered old man. Everyone else present widened their eyes. Damn it! You put it lightly. Do you want to try what it feels like to be beaten? If he tried to stop this little ancestor, he would be beaten to death in the next second. Looking at Shen Jian, who had half of his body leaning out of the ghost gate. All the ghost kings present were shocked, and fell into great fear and entanglement. If you don't stop this man, they will die together later. Stop this man and they'll probably die now. Sir, you really need to calm down. You have to think about the other people here. They don't have the ability like you, sir. Once something happens to you when you enter here, we will all be doomed. The ghost realm flashed, and the leader of the Wangui sect had appeared in front of Shen Jian, begging bitterly. Ma Mian hugged Shen Jian's right leg that had not yet stepped in, and prayed, brother, don't be impulsive. We can open the gate of hell a little further to let in more malicious faces rush in, so you can kill some and not be surrounded. Shen Jian paused. He looked at the leader of the Wangui cult, and then slapped him with a big dick. I'm still alive when I step on a horse. Are you going to curse me now? Shoot away the leader of the Wangui cult. Shen Jian looked down at Ma Mian, who was hugging his thigh, and stretched out his foot. Boom. Ma Mian also flew out. Seeing Shen Jian's determination to go in, the son of the river god did not dare to try to hinder him again. He just said with an ashen face, that's fine, if you die and I die, my mother can escape from your clutches, and without me as a son, she will no longer be coerced by people like you. Go in, and remember to open the door directly. This way you can die faster and avoid being eaten by ghosts later. While talking, the son of the river god is completely ruined. Just lie down. Staring with dead fish eyes, he looked like he was waiting to die. Shen Jian. Sir, we can indeed. Seeing that Shen Jian can still listen to advice, the withered old man rekindled some hope in his heart, hesitated for a moment, and walked up with a smile. What? Do you want to be beaten too? Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. The withered old man. Grass. If it weren't for my life, I wouldn't bother to advise you. He gritted his teeth. As the former leader of the 10,000 Ghost sect, he possesses a level of yin qi that is close to that of a real ghost. He once fought in a ghost town until no ghost dared to rule the roost. Its illustrious reputation resounds throughout the country. Now, he is groveling like this. It's simply a shame. But he still had the courage to say, Sir, that horsehead is right. If you want to kill those vicious ghost faces, we can push the ghost door a little open and let more ghost faces rush in. In this way, you can ensure that it's safe, and we can also assist on the side, so the efficiency may be faster. Shen Jian stopped. Now, every move he made undoubtedly aroused the nerves of all the ghosts present. This action gave them a glimmer of hope again. Shen Jian pondered for a moment. Nod slowly. You are actually right. As soon as these words came out, the withered old man's face was filled with joy. The leader of the Wangui cult climbed up secretly after being slapped away. Ma Mian, who was kicked away, also stood up from the ground. The son of the river god, who was lying down and waiting to die, also did a backflip. A pair of eyes looked at Shen Jian. Then, Shen Jian grinned. You're right. This efficiency is indeed too slow. If I open all the ghost gates, wouldn't I be able to take away these ghosts in one wave? You reminded me. Said. Under the horrified and dull eyes of the ghosts, Shen Jian withdrew. Push with both hands. The ghost door, which originally had only a gap exposed, was completely pushed open. An ultimate darkness was displayed in front of everyone. The yin qi surged so fiercely that it seemed to have condensed into substance, emerging from the depths of the ghost gate. Shen Jian turned his back to everyone and slowly stepped into the ghost gate. Like a door god, blocking the exit. Are you ready? Darkness is coming. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 335. The door of hell was completely pushed open. The ultimate darkness descends on the ghost town. In the darkness, countless pairs of glowing red eyes magically revived from their slumber, and the surging yin qi swept endlessly. This yin energy was so huge that even the leader of the 10,000 ghost sect, who was the top ghost king, changed his expression and lost his soul. The ghost town reincarnates once every 100 years. As long as no new ghosts and gods are born, the strongest person in the ghost town will be killed here sooner or later, and his body will be thrown into the darkness, becoming the nourishment for resentment. Then, it turned into a new vicious grimace. These vicious ghost faces had the strength of top ghost kings when they were alive. Once entangled, even they would fall into madness in an instant. And there may be no less than 3 such malicious faces. To completely push open the door of hell and disturb these deepest ghosts, in their eyes, is undoubtedly seeking death. Shen Jian's move stunned everyone. They don't understand that Shen Jian obviously has the capital to get out of the ghost town. He only needs to follow their plan and kill the malicious faces that rush in bit by bit, and then he can pass through the ghost gate without any injuries and return to the horror world. However, he chose the method of self-destruction. They don't understand. I really don't understand. At the same time, Shen Jian, who stepped into the ghost gate, also turned his head and said, "When darkness comes, can dawn be far behind? After surviving this test, you will gain a new life. I believe you will like your new job. Ghosts. Grass. Damn it. Is this why you want to take us to death together? Death is imminent, yet they feed us poisonous chicken soup. You, this bad old man, are so bad." Their eyes widened. The whole ghost couldn't stand it anymore. I thought I had hope, but who knew it turned out to be deeper despair. Now the door of hell is completely open. No one can stop these vicious faces from rushing into the ghost town in large numbers. Once some evil spirits start to get entangled and fall into a state of madness, everything will be over. In panic, the scalp-numbing sounds came in waves. Woo-woo-view. KK. Hee hee hee. Countless vicious faces spread out with distorted expressions like a black curtain. Everyone kept a close eye on Shen Jian. Shen Jian smiled. A total of 80 dark red stars twinkled, and the black steel rod was swung with resentment and wailing. The huge force and the lethality effect of the steel rod itself were just a single strike. There are 6 or 7 more stars on the black steel rod. Shen Jian's smile grew wider. "Jajaja, little cuties, welcome to join my big loving family," said. Shen Jian took the initiative to step into the darkness. Every time the steel rod is swung, scores of vicious faces will be smashed to death. Soon, the entire black steel rod is dotted with stars. Until a qualitative change occurred. A huge scarlet 6-pointed star appeared on the top of the steel rod. It forms a clear contrast with the rest of the dark red stars. On the 6-pointed star, there seems to be a consciousness composed of countless resentments residing in it. Just looking at it can make people feel dizzy and insane. The stick body became extremely heavy. Shen Jian looked surprised. It's done. After smashing countless spiteful faces to death, the quality of this black steel rod was no longer inferior to the morning stick. but the vicious faces here don't seem to have diminished at all. His idea of creating an underworld judge-level weapon may not be impossible. Then Shen Jian worked harder. The second huge scarlet hexagram appeared. Ghosts. Everyone was dumbfounded. Logically speaking, the door of hell is wide open. The ghost town will soon be overrun by the malicious faces that rush in. But now, Shen Jian was waving his weapon inside alone, smashing to death all the malicious faces that tried to rush towards him. His methods were so cruel and clean that not a single malicious face could rush in. They were completely bewildered. How many waves is this already? Has anyone counted how many ghost faces he has smashed to death? The leader of Wangui cult said with a stiff expression. It's the 21st wave. As for how many he killed, I can't count them after he killed nearly 3,000 malicious faces. The son of the river god also swallowed. The idea of jailbreak is further strengthened. There is no hope of defeating this human being by force. The boss is so fierce, can he really kill all the ghost faces? Yes, I just saw a few vicious faces trying to enter his body, but it didn't work. As long as I can't be affected by this factor, the boss might really be able to do it. The bull-headed horse-faced man also expressed his opinion. It's hard to say, have you noticed that these vicious ghost faces have already prepared to move their positions after finding that they can't conquer the adults? Once more than thousands of vicious ghost faces rush out desperately, even the adults will be unable to stop them. Make all the faces. At this time, the withered old man, who was the most terrifying person in the audience, spoke from the side. Throwing cold water on everyone. Be prepared. Once all the vicious faces give up attacking you, that will be the beginning of darkness. How many people survive depends entirely on luck. Furthermore, the collection of resentments hidden in the deepest part should also appear. These resentments are fused with the resentment of many evil ghosts. The level of yin qi is probably higher than mine. If you are targeted, you can only seek happiness for yourself. As soon as these words came out, the ghosts who originally showed a bit of joy all had solemn expressions on their faces. Next moment, it seems to be fulfilling the words of the withered old man. From the darkness deeper in the ghost gate, 3 huge ghost faces floated out. The 3 spiteful faces are 3 times their normal size. On the huge ghost face, you can faintly see countless small faces that were forcibly pieced together to form a larger ghost face. A grimacing smile. It was as if thousands of ghost faces were emitting infiltrating laughter at the same time. Hee hee, hee hee, hee hee. With these creepy laughter echoing in the darkness. The vicious faces attacking Shen Jian also stopped one by one, and then began to rush towards the ghost gate. This moment, the ghosts were horrified. A look of fear filled his face. It's not as simple as 1 or 2 grimaces coming out. There are thousands of them. And the number is still increasing. And the entire ghost town has less than 4,000 people at full capacity. It's over. Once these vicious ghosts come out, the evil ghosts present won't even have a 30% chance of survival. No matter what other people do, they are all evil ghosts. Life and death are determined by God. The most important thing now is your excellency. The terror level of those 3 huge ghost faces is almost the same as that of my ancestors. I am afraid that your excellency has already been exhausted in the battle. Is too big. The leader of Wangui sect spoke in a deep voice. If he is eroded, then we are completely done. The fierce ghosts above the Ghost King level are facing a haze. At this time, Shen Jian also saw this scene. He let out a hoarse roar. No, don't leave me. You are all mine. Said. Shen Jian waved the black steel rod and chased forward. Vicious grimace. God, please don't leave you. Don't be ridiculous. It's as if we abandoned you. Seeing that every time Shen Jian swung the stick, more than 100 grimaces let out painful wails, and their resentment clung to the black steel stick, forming stars one after another. The corners of the mouths of the 3 huge grimaces couldn't help but twitch. You are so evil. You are a collection of resentment. There is really no sense of inconsistency in giving this position to you. Thinking. 3 huge grimaces had already stopped in front of Shen Jian. They are a collection of countless resentments, and they were also the strongest people in the Ghost City back then. Each of them has the level of a top Ghost King. Coupled with the continuous integration of resentments for many years, their yin-chi level is not lower than that of the withered old man. When 3 huge ghost faces entangle a person, even the top Ghost King will be instantly eroded and driven into madness. Snapped. Next moment, Shen Jian slapped him with a loud mouth. He cursed and said, "I advise you not to be too selfish. I am not yours to have for yourself." Said. Shen Jian took out a seal from his body. Go. The words fell. The seal, which was originally just the size of a palm, suddenly swelled in size, and the simple and worn surface suddenly exuded a suffocating supernatural pressure. An almost suffocating sense of oppression also spread from the darkness. Then, dispel the darkness. The bright golden light illuminates the darkness inside the ghost gate. Golden light shines all over. Within the scope of the golden light, all the movements of the malicious faces came to a standstill. To be more precise, he was suppressed to the point of being unable to move. Judge Wu Zhongkui's exclusive magic weapon, the evil suppressing seal. With one seal, ghosts and gods can be suppressed. What's more, it's just some resentment. GGG, please come in and be my family. Shen Jian laughed strangely. The evil suppressing seal hung high above his head, emitting golden brilliance, making Shen Jian look like a god. The black steel rod kept swinging out. There were endless screams. Looking at this scene. And the golden ghost gate. All the fierce ghosts present who were ready and mentally prepared were stunned on the spot. Damn it! It turns out you still have a trump card. Others keep a trump card that holds the bottom of the box. Erupts in times of crisis. You have a damn trump card in your hand, 4 twos with the king bomb, right? It's so annoying. Awesome. Did you see that this is my new boss? When did my horse-faced vision miss him? 999. The ghosts were in an uproar. Looking at the figure with his back to them and a simple seal hanging above his head, illuminating all the darkness deep in the ghost gate, all the ghosts were stunned. Eyes widened. Look at this incredible scene. All the resentment accumulated in the ghost town for hundreds of years was wiped out by one person. This is so dreamy. It's almost like listening to a fairy tale. The other side. After smashing the last giant grimace to death, the black steel rod in Shen Jian's hand had undergone several transformations. On the top of the steel rod, a total of 13 scarlet 6-pointed stars flashed with heart-stopping resentment. The cries and howls of countless resentful ghosts could be heard faintly. Shen Jian's face lit up with joy. It really reached the level of a judge. Although it is not as good as the magical weapons of the most powerful judges such as Judge Wu Zhongkui. But in terms of level, it is already a judge-level ghost weapon. Even ghosts and gods can be smashed to death. Certainly. The premise is that it can be lifted. The weight of the current black steel rod has reached an astonishing level. Just by putting it down casually, a 20-centimeter depression was made on the ground. Put away the black steel rod. Shen Jian looked towards the deepest part of the ghost gate. It's still a door. Transparent white light. It's like the moonlight shines in. Shen Jian stepped forward and pushed him away. Outside is a dark mass grave. The faint moonlight shone down, the night was thin, and the evening breeze was cool. Shen Jian stepped out completely. Look back. Above the mass graves, a majestic and huge ancient city came into view. There is a plaque above the ancient city. Nanli. Shen Jian's eyes moved. This is the true face of Nanli Ghost Town. An uninhabited ancient city hidden under a ghost domain. Shen Jian looked over. The walls of the ancient city are aging, the buildings are rapidly rusting, and cracks are appearing on the streets that could have been used to fight ghosts in red. The brand new ghost town in his memory suddenly turned into an old and deserted city, a dead city. Within the ghost town, when they saw the walls cracking and cracks appearing on the street, all the ghosts showed a look of fear, thinking that something had happened again. However, the Ghost King level ghosts headed by the withered old man seemed to have thought of something, and uncontrollable ecstasy appeared on their faces. One by one, they stepped into the ghost gate and walked out of the ghost town. The withered old man appears in the mass grave. The turbulent yin qi erupted uncontrollably, and wild laughter continued to resound in the dark night. I'm out. I'm finally out of this damn ghost place. I can actually return to the horror world in this life. Hear the voices of our ancestors. The leader of the Wangui cult also stood outside the mass grave with an excited look on his face. Is this the world outside the ghost town? A scary world you only hear about in rumors. The ancestor has been trapped for his whole life, so why not him? Now, he finally escaped from the same ghost town. Wild laughter also sounded from his mouth. The other Ghost King level ghosts also reacted in the same way. Along with their voices of ecstasy, the ghosts in the ghost city also showed excited expressions. It is true. Out of town. With the exclamation of an unknown person, this ghost city hidden under the ghost domain, which had not been opened for hundreds of years, was finally opened today. One by one, the red-clothed fierce ghosts walked out of the ghost town and appeared in front of the mass graves, venting their hearts out. Terrifying and abnormal yin-qi fluctuations continued to erupt. More than 40 players also stepped out of the ghost town one by one. The scarlet panel emerged. The ghost town collapsed. The main mission has been completed. The copy is about to enter settlement. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigwa. Chapter 336. Ghost towns fade. The walls are aging and falling off, the brand new plagues are beginning to look old, and cracks are emerging one after another. It was also at this time. Scarlet panels began to emerge. Main mission, escape from the ghost town, completed. This round of game has ended. Congratulations to the players for surviving, they are about to enter the dungeon settlement stage. Warn. Warn. Red level warning. The dungeon of Nanli Ghost City is facing a devastating collapse, all local ghosts have disappeared, and the dungeon map has suffered epic destruction. Data analysis is abnormal. The copy structure is abnormal. Checking. It is judged that the copy of Nanli Ghost City is completely invalid, and the copy will no longer be opened. It has been detected that the player has used means outside the system to leave the instance, and the current position has been fixed. Players. Looking at the lines of extremely scarlet words on the game panel, each of them cried with joy. Lots of surprises. Out. They actually made it out alive. Successfully survived the unprecedented 5-star difficulty dungeon. Of the 50 players, 42 survived. The survival rate is as high as over 90%. Not to mention that this is a 5-star dungeon, even if it is a 3-star or even a 2-star dungeon, the survival rate cannot be as high as 90%. It was a miracle. A miracle created by the player whose ID is King Yama. He single-handedly cleared the Ghost Town dungeon. This achievement is unheard of. It has never been done before, and it will never be done again. All players looked at Shen Jian. There was awe, gratitude, and adoration in his eyes. At the same time, Shen Jian was also looking at his game board. This round of game has ended. Congratulations to the player for clearing the Nanli Ghost City dungeon. The copy is being settled. Rating, S+. Experience gained, 800%. 300% is the Leapfrog Dungeon bonus. Note, you have been promoted to level 45. Item obtained, Thriller Coin *10,000. Get a special reward, the abandoned Nanley Ghost Town. Note, due to the player's locust behavior, Nanley Ghost Town was officially scrapped and declared bankrupt. The strongest person in the ghost town is the designated property heir. Please restore the prosperity of the ghost town on your own. Get special reward, the birth of the king. Note, there are 4 ghost towns in the horror world, which are places where ghosts are raised everywhere, specializing in cultivating ghosts and gods. Due to the outstanding performance of the players, Nanley Ghost Town collapsed. The southern region lost its own ghosts and gods and could not be unified. The hidden achievement mission, Birth of the King, was opened. Unify the southern region. Current progress, 3%. Get special reward, Pioneer. Note, since the player is the first to clear the 5-star dungeon with difficulty, in the future, an additional 20% experience will be added to the settlement of the dungeon, double thriller coins will be obtained, and there is a certain chance of receiving a good luck buff. Look at the information above. Shen Jian fell into deep thought. Special reward 1 gave him an abandoned property. But he hasn't figured out what to do yet. After all, Nanley Ghost Town has become an empty city. It's no longer that notorious prison. Unless he stuffs back all the evil ghosts he brought out and returns the malicious faces of the ghost sect, Nanley Ghost City will basically be considered useless. The second special reward aroused his interest. There are 4 ghost towns in the horror world, which are places dedicated to cultivating ghosts and gods. He knows this information. But the subsequent hidden achievement mission made Shen Jian thoughtful. The purpose of cultivating ghosts and gods in ghost towns is to unify an area. Become the so-called king? Shen Jian glanced again. Hidden achievement mission, the birth of the king. Task requirement, unify the southern region. Current progress, 3%. In Nanjiang district, he owns 4 large replicas of the Rebirth Villa, the Supernatural Amusement Park, the Underworld Hospital building, and the Rebirth Villa area. There are 2 large dungeons in the Donglan district, the Bloody Paper Shop and the Nanley Ghost Town. The progress is only 3%. Shen Jian shook his head. This task has been skipped for now. He didn't even unify Nanjiang district, let alone the southern region. Thinking. The laughter of the ghosts became more and more wild. The yin-qi fluctuations are spreading. It made the ghosts under the mass graves tremble. I don't know why there are thousands of red-clad ghosts here. There are also double-digit Ghost King level ghosts among them. This is too scary. At this time, Shen Jian's cursing voice sounded. What's the name of the ghost at night? Don't you know it's unlucky? Hear this. The laughter of the powerful red-clothed ghost stopped abruptly. Even the Ghost King level ghosts, including the top Ghost Kings, including the leader of the 10,000 Ghost sect and the withered old man, all shrank their necks and did not dare to speak out. Fear flashed across his face. But suddenly, the leader of Wangui cult seemed to have discovered something. He whispered, "Hey, have you ever felt that the breath on the adults is a bit weird? It seems like the smell of a living person." As soon as these words came out, all the ghosts' eyes were focused on Shen Jian. He's really alive. It can't be wrong. This level of yang energy must be human. Not just him, there are more than 40 humans over there, all of them disguised as our kind and sneaking into the ghost town. The eyes of the ghosts flickered. Shen Jian turned out to be a human being, which was beyond the imagination of all ghosts. It made them a little bit ready to move. If it is a fierce ghost, then naturally no one would dare to provoke it. After all, ghosts are not like humans. They can revive so-called ghosts and have supernatural backlash. Even if they use supernatural powers, it will not have any impact. But if Shen Jian were a human being, then he would have to fight the tens of thousands of vicious faces in the Ghost Gate with his own strength, which would definitely consume a lot of money, and he might even have no energy left. This will be their best chance to escape. The leader of Wangui cult's eyes flashed and said, "Everyone, this is the best opportunity. You have seen his cruelty, right? If you don't run away now, even if you don't become a star on his black steel rod in the future, you will definitely there is no freedom at all. I don't believe that he, a human being, would be kind enough to send us all out of prison. If we don't resist now, what awaits us will be servitude for eternity. Are you really willing to be driven by a human being?" The leader of Wangui cult gritted his teeth and spoke in a dark voice. Naoto was stunned, scratched his head and said, "Gang leader, are you going to betray the boss? The boss has never shown weakness." Leader of Wangui cult. He was also slightly startled. His face became cloudy and uncertain. Damn, it seems like this is really the case. He only thought that Shen Jian was a human being and could not use his supernatural power for a long time, but who knew if Shen Jian in this state had reached his limit? If he still has some energy left, wouldn't it be the end of him? Think of this. The leader of Wangui cult blushed, and the resentment in his eyes faded. At this time, Shen Jian finally finished reading the introduction of the Scarlet Panel. While retracting his gaze, he also noticed the faint eyes of countless ghosts on the mass grave. He was slightly startled. Then he reacted. The copy is over. The living aura on his body was also noticed by the ghost. So one by one couldn't hold it any longer. Think about it. Shen Jian's face turned pale instantly. The movement suddenly stopped. Damn it, it only took a while. Did the evil spirit revive so quickly? Said. Shen Jian held the big stone with one hand and panted for hot air, as if he was about to revive. The black steel rod in his hand also fell to the ground with a plop, making a huge roar. This moment, Shen Jian seemed so weak that he couldn't even pick up a weapon. How could it be? Is the ghost and god puzzle piece in my body about to revive? But didn't the ghost and god inheritance I inherited say that the ghosts will not be revived after an outbreak of this level? Shen Jian's voice trembled, like a seriously ill centenarian. What? Ghost puzzle? Ghost legacy? The eyes of many evil ghosts became darker. My heart skipped a beat. No wonder a human being can be so terrifying, that's why. Even a human can control the puzzle of ghosts and gods. If they were controlled by them, wouldn't they be able to break through the ghost city on their own like Shen Jian? Think of this. More evil spirits were moved. He stared at Shen Jian with fiery eyes. But they still suppressed their covetousness. Because the Ghost King level ghost has not taken action yet. Even if they tried to rob, they couldn't rob those Ghost Kings. At the same time, all the eyes of the audience fell on the Ghost King level ghosts headed by the leader of the 10,000 Ghost sect. The leader of Wangui sect was overjoyed. He lowered his voice and said, "Everyone, as you can see, the way he is now must have been revived by the evil ghost. Human beings in this state are the weakest. There is no need to use supernatural powers. You only need to walk over and pinch his neck. No matter how powerful the ghost and god puzzle is, it will be ineffective. Son of the river god." He looked at Shen Jian, who had to hold onto a stone to stand up, and didn't know what he was thinking. "You want to kill him? Of course, this is a God-given opportunity." The leader of Wangui cult nodded. The withered old man. He looked at Shen Jian with his white pupils, and then at his great-grandson. After thinking about it, he still felt that something was wrong, and suggested, "Grandson, don't be greedy. The key is to escape from the control of this human being. As for ghosts and gods, Jigsaw, whoever kills this human being when the time comes, it will be the same if we take it away from the other party." The leader of Wangui sect was stunned for a moment and felt that there was no need to rush. The key is to get out of this human control first. So he looked at the bull-headed horse face and said with a dangerous look on his face, "Where are you? Mamian?" He hesitated for a moment and nodded. "See this?" The leader of the Wangwi sect's eyes lit up. "Okay, I'll count to 3 later and we'll run together, so even if there's an explosion, the human won't have time to catch us. 1, 2, 3. The words fell. The ghost domain on the leader of Wangwi called flashed, and he teleported 500 meters away with his body. Shen Jian, who was in a weak state, seemed to have seen this scene, with a trace of anger on his face, but because his life was in danger, there was no way to pursue him. Can only be helpless and furious. I saved you, are you going to harm me now that I can't move?" Shen Jian looked at the motionless withered old man, the son of the river god, with the head of a bull and the face of a horse, and said in a sad and angry tone. The emphasis of the voice was a bit more on the 4 words "unable to move." At this time, the withered old man came out. Shen Jian's eyes lit up. However, but the withered old man's tone changed, and he gritted his teeth and said, "Sir, my unfilial grandson betrayed you. I will catch him and bring him back, and I will let you do whatever you want." Minotaur Horse Mian also said with an angry look on his face, "Boss, he actually betrayed you, he really deserves to die." The son of the river god thought for a while, then came out and said, "That grandson should be sentenced to death." Shen Jian. He was speechless. Buletin Xian said, "I really can't move." Group of ghosts. Damn it! Stop fishing. It's enough to catch a fool. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigwa. Chapter 337. Where the blood spread, the leader of the Wangwi sect crawled out. He wasn't too far away. Because he is still thinking about the ghost puzzle and ghost legacy on Shenjian. Once a human has mastered the puzzle of ghosts and gods, he can break through the ghost city on his own, turning this top ghost king into a horseboy. He believed that if he accepted everything from Shenjian, he would be able to do this, and even advance to the level of ghost and god, and dominate one side would not be a problem. 3,000 meters away. The leader of Wangwi cult stopped. Look back. No one followed. Leader of Wangwi cult. He froze. Damn it! Where are people? What kind of person? An ominous premonition flashed through his heart. Take a closer look. Just in time, I saw my ancestor shouting slogans and heading towards him. "Unworthy grandson, you dare to betray me. You have disappointed my ancestor so much." The bull-headed horse-faced man also had an angry expression on his face. "Gang leader, we call you gang leader for the last time. From today on, we will sever our ties and forget each other in the world, but we will never forgive you for betraying the boss." "I don't know what's wrong." The son of the river god drank coldly. He looked like he wanted to help Shenjian seek justice. Behind his back, he looked at the leader of the Wangwi sect with a strange expression. Young. Too young. Has he been invincible in a ghost town for too long and been boasted so much that his brain has deteriorated? He dared to believe what this human said, no wonder he was unlucky. Leader of Wangwi cult. His eyes widened. He looked at the ancestors and others with disbelief. Damn, you tricked me!" he roared. He looked at his ancestor with puzzled eyes. The withered old man's mouth twitched. He didn't expect that his turtle grandson could be so stupid. At the moment, he can only ask for his own blessings. Then, the withered old man said seriously, "Don't call me ancestor, I don't have a great-grandson like you. Stop struggling, You are too ungrateful to betray the boss. Ma Mian came closer and closer. Haha, the top ghost king? I, the son of the river god, fought the top ghost king today. If you have the ability, why don't you try to fight back? The son of the river god also had a sinister smile on his face. It feels really good to have a dogfight against the power of others. He, an ordinary ghost king, had the opportunity to violently beat up an unsolved level ghost, and violently beat up the leader of the 10,000 ghost sect who he could not afford to offend or offend. This feeling was indescribable. For the first time, he felt that there were benefits to recognizing his father in public. You. The leader of Wangui sect's eyes were about to burst. Then. Ah. Shortly after. Covered in blood and looking miserable, the leader of the Wangui sect was brought back. Boss, this traitor has been dealt with. Ma Mian opened his mouth to report. He has begun to regard himself as his younger brother. Shen Jian. He looked at the ghosts in front of him with emotion, not being fooled at all. Unexpectedly, my well-honed acting skills could not deceive them 100%. I only lied to the stupidest person. Think of this. Shen Jian was also a little uninterested. He stood up directly. His pale face suddenly turned rosy. Then he picked up the black steel rod that had been smashed into a deep pit and resurrected on the spot with full health. There was some regret in his eyes as he said. It's a pity. If you had attacked me just now, I really wouldn't be able to resist. Group of ghosts. The muscles on their faces twitched slightly. God has no power to resist. Look at the way you are acting now. Do you think we believe it when you say you have no power to resist? They stood still. Seeing Shen Jian resurrected with full health, he was completely speechless, and at the same time, he became more and more in awe of Shen Jian. A human being who had just fought a fierce battle against tens of thousands of malicious faces in the Ghost Gate, but showed no sign of decline or even any injuries. This strength was terrifying. His limits are completely invisible. They don't believe it at all when it comes to controlling ghosts and gods. Because ghosts and gods are not that awesome. Let's go back with me. I've already prepared a good job for you. Shen Jian waved his hand. Turn around and leave. Real world. Hades. The 15th floor of hell, unlocked. The 16th level of hell, unlocked. The 17th level of hell, unlockable. Unlocking conditions, ghosts and gods, specified. Look at the system prompts around you. A smile appeared on Shen Jian's face. As he expected, as long as he catches more red-clad ghosts, he can also unlock the 16th level of hell. Unfortunately, this opportunity only comes once. Looking at the conditions for unlocking the 17th level of hell, Shen Jian was a little surprised. Logically speaking, the unlocking condition for the 16th level of hell should be a ghost. But he used a large number of red-clad ghosts instead, relied on quantity to achieve quality, and successfully unlocked the 16th level of hell. Normally, the conditions for unlocking the 17th level of hell should be 10 ghosts and gods. Shen Jian took another look. There is nothing wrong with the conditions shown in the 17 hells. It's a ghost. However, there is an additional word designated at the end. In other words, he must actually catch a ghost to unlock the 17th level of hell. Shen Jian was thoughtful. He looked at the Mondo ghost and god puzzle tied to his wrist. He knew that his focus in the next stage would be to find the puzzle pieces of Manchuo ghosts and gods. He put together 2 pieces of the 6-piece puzzle. The remaining 4 pieces were missing. He needs information. Thinking. The system prompt tone also sounded. Mission, rebuild the underworld. Second stage, unlocking the 15th floor of 18 hells, completed. Reward, the palace of the risen officials. Hear this familiar voice. Shen Jian was shocked. There was a hint of excitement in his eyes. The fifth palace of hell is unlocked. Shenjian opened the game panel. Player, King Yama. Level, level 45. Identities, King of Yama, King of Qingguang, King of Shijiang, Emperor of Song Dynasty, and King of Wuguan. Ability, Pressure of Ghosts and Gods, Ghost Aura, Blood of Ghosts and Gods, Good Omen of Ghosts and Gods, Power of Ghosts and Gods, Eyes of Ghosts and Gods, Heart of Ghosts and Gods, Communication between Yin and Yang, Hands of Ghosts and Gods, Judgment of Hell. Strength, 110, the limit for ordinary people is 10. Speed, 110. Yin Qi, 28,000. Thriller Coin, 100100000. Real Estate, Room 101, Unit 3, Swequan Community, Death Villa, Supernatural Game Park, Blood Moon High School, Huangquan Ward, Death Villa Area, Blood Paper Shop, Nanli Ghost Town. Title, Dungeon Destroyer, Passive, Blood Spring Community Owner, Real Estate Tycoon, Lord of the Past, Passive, Principal of Blood Moon High School, Passive, Nanjiang District's number 1 Tyrant, Ghost Seeking Sorrow, Passive, comma. Special Status, Attention from Glorious Ghosts and Gods. Special Status, Ghost Taoists Hatred. Special Status, Ferry the Hatred of Ghosts and Gods. Special Status, The Curiosity of World-Weary Ghosts and Gods. Ignore the others. Shenjian immediately checked the priestly ability of the Risen King. Hands of Ghosts and Gods. Hell's Verdict. Not long after, Shenjian's face showed a bit of surprise. This Hell's judgment is so overbearing. Can actually directly determine the good and evil of a fierce ghost. He was judged to be evil and immediately fell into the 16 small hells controlled by the Risen King. If it is judged to be good, the evil ghost will automatically transform into a good ghost. And conversion is mandatory. Without changing the nature of a fierce ghost, the other party's degree of good and evil can be directly reversed. And can also control the proportion of good and evil. This ability is undoubtedly a timely blessing for him. The thousands of red-clad ghosts he brought back from the ghost town are all evil ghosts in nature and are extremely aggressive. Naturally, he can restrain these evil spirits when he is here. But his purpose in bringing these evil ghosts back was to disperse them and become evil agents of the underworld. It's impossible to restrain nature. And the ability of the Rogue King can come in handy. Think about it. Shenjian decided to adjust the level of good and evil of these evil ghosts to half good and half evil. In layman's terms, it's chaotic goodness. Regardless of the principles of the underworld, these evil ghosts are no different from good ghosts in nature. This kind of character is most suitable for becoming a bad person in the underworld. As for the hands of ghosts and gods, Shenjian's eyes fell on his right hand. Think about it. Look back. There is no good material for him to show this ability. In a daze. The system beep sounded again. Mission, rebuild the underworld. The second phase mission has been updated. The second stage, unlocking the complete 18 levels of hell. Reward, 6 paths of reincarnation reappear. Shenjian was shocked. There was a flash of surprise in his eyes. Real or fake? Reincarnation. Unlocking the 18 levels of hell will allow the 6 paths of reincarnation to reappear? Wrong. Shenjian quickly shook his head. It's definitely not that simple. But there was still a bit of excitement on his face. No matter what other conditions are required in the follow-up, just letting the 6 paths of reincarnation reappear is enough to make Shenjian happy. Why is an underworld that cannot be reincarnated called the underworld? Only with the 6 paths of reincarnation can the underworld be considered the real underworld. This time, Shenjian is even more anxious to find the puzzle piece of Manchuo ghosts and gods. He needs to know more information about ghosts and gods. At the same time, The son of the river god released by Shenjian walks in the human world. Soon we arrived at Villa No 001. According to that human being, his mother, the river goddess, was imprisoned in this place. In his mind, his mother, the goddess of the river, was coerced by that human being and had no choice but to choose to compromise. Life must have been tough. It's normal to be beaten, scolded, tortured, and insulted every day. He had made up his mind to quietly take his mother away from here while the humans still trusted him a little. The human world is so big. There is always a hiding place for them. The worst thing is to look for opportunities in the future and return to the world of horror. 10 minutes ago. The son of the river god thought so. 10 minutes later. Looking at the Republic of China villa that occupies a large cliff in front of me. Son of the river god. I'm crazy. Is this a place where people live? Isn't this a castle? Located in the ghost town, this villa is already as big as two Wangui sect headquarters. Its high housing prices would make even a top ghost king feel distressed if he lived there. His mother lives here? The son of the river god was slightly stunned. Compared with this luxurious castle, the place where he lived in the ghost town was like a palace and a doghouse, etc. The son of the river god suddenly thought. This place is that human castle. It's not his mother's. He estimated that his mother should be imprisoned in the underground prison of this castle, never seeing the light of day. Think of this. He slowly pushed open the door of Villa No 001. As soon as you enter, you can smell the aroma of cake and cream. There is also the aroma of black tea. A white-coated chef ghost was busy in the kitchen, making afternoon tea desserts. He took a deep breath. These foods from the human world are destined to have nothing to do with his mother. Being able to eat leftovers is already a great kindness to mankind. After all, he had heard his mother, the river goddess, talk about the era in which she lived. Generally, those who were coerced into slavery would end up not much better. Where can I get the chance to eat these exquisite and delicious human foods? Think of this. He wanted to find his mother more and take her away from this place. Soon. He found his mother, the river goddess. My mother was sitting in front of a row of floor-to-ceiling windows, and the sunlight was streaming down and shining into the house. On the table, 3 layers of small cakes are placed on the table. A steaming cup of black tea is placed on the left-hand side. The mother read the book quietly. Every now and then I would grab a piece of cake and put it in my mouth. A look of contentment appeared on his face. Son of the river god. He froze. I suspected that I had seen something wrong. Is this the quality of life a person under duress should have? For those who didn't know, I thought she was some kind of castle lady. The son of the river god twitched his mouth. How could this life be more nourishing than his? At this time, the river goddess also noticed her son's aura. The pretty face showed a bit of surprise. Son, did you advance so quickly? Right. The son of the river god said hard. He really couldn't go against his conscience and define this quality of life as torture. Then, he told everything that happened to him in the ghost town. This also includes the idea of escaping here with my mother. The river goddess was startled. She also remembered that she seemed to have a bet with Shenjian. The content of the bet was that once her son was promoted to the Ghost King, she would be released. But now, she doesn't want to anymore. Son, mother is already his, and she wants to give birth to a child for him. Otherwise, you can stay too. Crunch. There was a sound at the door. The son of the river god didn't know when he walked out of the gate of Villa No 001. He only knew that he was a little confused at the moment. He had no idea that what Shenjian said to him in the ghost town, "Your mother and I are planning to have a child," was not just a matter of pleasure. And my mother seemed willing. Even more unwilling to leave this human being in words. From today on, He has a nominal father. It's also legal. My mentality is broken. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 338. Binhai City. After more than a month, Shenjian stepped into the city again. The last time I came here was for the second copy of the game that appeared in the real world. In the copy of the supernatural cinema, he learned the name of another ghost and god, World Weary, and found the person in charge who helped build the Binhai City God's temple. This day, Shenjian came to inspect the goods. Also accompanying him was Lu Rong, the ghost sister-in-law of the city god temple. He is the Qingshi city god, and the next one is Wei Wuliang, who is a dead man. He no longer plans to be the city god of Binhai City. His main task now is to collect clues to the puzzle of Manchuo ghosts and gods as soon as possible, and strive to unlock the 18 levels of hell as soon as possible. Let the 6 paths of reincarnation reappear. This is his main problem at the moment. The rest can be postponed. Smelly brother, I've been trying to make up for the customs of your human world these past few days. If you give me such an important position, aren't you afraid that I'll get away with it? Lu Rong, the ghost sister-in-law, held Shenjian's arm. It's like a couple in love, expressing their emotions intimately. Sister-in-law, you are a strong woman who can build a supernatural auction house from scratch. You still have the ability to govern a city. What's more, I will help you before you can officially become the city god. Shenjian said lightly. If it were a mature underworld system, it would be impossible for a newcomer like Ghost sister-in-law to be competent. However, this is a new underworld with a radius of only one city. Even if you become a city god, the workload will not be large. There is also time to explore slowly. It seems that after leaving the ghost town, I can't escape my life of fatigue, but this is just right. If you ask me to be a vase and do nothing every day, I don't want to. Ghost sister-in-law Lu Rong spoke. The words are full of confidence. One can imagine her skill in establishing a supernatural auction house with the strength of a red-clad ghost in a ghost town that is extremely dangerous and full of dangers. But stinky brother, why do you still call me sister-in-law? Shenjian paused and said casually, I'm used to it. Do you find it exciting? At this time, Lu Rong, the ghost sister-in-law, suddenly whispered into Shenjian's ear. While talking, a scent of fragrance hits your nostrils. The heat came with it. It made Shenjian feel a little itchy. Hearing what the sister-in-law said, he did not refute. Bad brother, how should you repay me? She raised her head coquettishly, looking at Shenjian charmingly. There was some emotion in his eyes. Of course I'll give you a reward. Shenjian did not hesitate. His body glowed red. Then he took MRS Ghost to the newly opened City Gods Hall in Binhai City. The Chenghuang Temple at this time. Empty. Everything is in a gray state. Shenjian had an idea. According to the layout of Qingshi City Gods Hall, this place began to be arranged. Soon one palace after another rose from the ground. In the main hall of the city god, Shenjian looked at the ghost sister-in-law Lu Rong. Sister-in-law, please turn around. Time flies. The two people who had been working for a long time began to tidy up the desktop. For the sake of your reward, little brother, I will leave my mother-in-law's affairs to me. I want her to help me. This should be okay, right? The ghost sister-in-law's face turned red. Radiant. It looked like he had taken a lot of tonics and was overly nourishing. Of course, you are the city god here, and you will naturally be in charge of the recruitment of personnel. I have only one request: within 3 months, all supernatural incidents in Binhai City should be eliminated, so that the city god's palace can control the city. Shenjian said seriously. It took 3 months to clear up the supernatural incidents in Binhai City. It takes less time than Qingxi. But at that time, he was the only one in charge of Qingxi, so the progress was naturally much slower. As for the Binhai City God's Hall, it is standing on the shoulders of giants. If it cannot be eliminated in 3 months, it can only be said that the efficiency is too low. Think about it. Shen Jian waved his hand. The city god performs his magic. A piece of city god's seal condensed out. Without the city god's seal, it cannot be considered an orthodox city god. In addition to the seal of the city god, there are also prayer records and good and evil records, which are also one of the cores of the city god's hall. Prayer spectrum understands folk prayers and protects the people of a city. The people recorded in the good genealogy can go to the underworld as Yingke after they die. People recorded in the evil genealogy will go to the 18th level of hell to serve their sentences after they die. If the crime they committed is extremely evil, the city god's palace can send someone to arrest their souls. At this time, the spectrum of good and evil suddenly opens up. Densely packed words kept emerging. Good record. Wang Lao-san, for his good deeds, died abnormally 3 days later. Wang Lao-si, for his good deeds, died abnormally 3 days later. Wang Xiao, for his good deeds, died abnormally 3 days later. Evil spectrum. Zhang Meizi, for the evil he did, died abnormally 3 days later. Li Xiao'er, for the evil he did, died abnormally 3 days later. Huang Laoji, for the evil he did, died abnormally 3 days later. Lines of death records began to appear on both the spectrum of good and evil. And there is no end in sight to this manifestation. The death toll keeps increasing. What's going on? Something went wrong. The ghost sister-in-law Lu Rong was shocked. In just such a short time, the number of deaths reached 100,000. And it is increasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Soon, 200,000 people, 300,000 people, 350,000. Stopped. No, they are all dead. Shen Jian's eyes also became solemn. Binhai City, like Qingxi, is just a small fourth-tier city with a permanent population of less than 400,000. 350,000 people died abnormally, which meant that Binhai City was destroyed. And the time is just 3 days later. Supernatural event. This is definitely a supernatural event. It is also an unprecedented super-large supernatural event. Shen Jian fell into deep thought. A mysterious incident in which a city was wiped out in one fell swoop. Is it possible that there are evil spirits above the level that have reached the real world? Shen Jian flipped through the books of good and evil, looking for the original source. Soon, he found the first group of people who died. Some of Shen Jian saw a familiar name. Kishan. This was the person in charge of building the city god temple. He was a survivor rescued by Shen Jian in the copy of the supernatural cinema. Shen Jian continued to read. The situation was quickly sorted out. Qi Shen, who was responsible for the construction of the city god's temple, discovered that many people had participated in the construction of the city god's temple, and there were so-called share dividends. In order to completely buy out the city god's temple, he went to Rongjia village where the city god's temple was built. Also traveling with them were members of the Binhai city Daxia dragon bird. After 2 people are missing. Members of Daxia dragon bird sent people over to investigate the situation. Another group is missing. Among them are 2 Samsung players. At this point, Rongjia village was classified as a class A supernatural incident and sealed off. After seeing it all, Shen Jian frowned. A phone call was made. Hey, Mr. Shen, what's the matter? Qian Quan's respectful voice sounded. Do you know the person in charge of Binhai City? Or the commander of Daxia Lonke? We know each other, but what happened? I need Mr. Shen to personally intervene. Qian Quan's heart trembled. I had an ominous premonition in my heart. How could something be simple if it could be asked by the king of hell himself? Binhai City was destroyed in 3 days. Shen Jian said calmly. I need to know the situation now. Qian Quan. Grass. He shuddered. I almost dropped the phone in my hand. Binhai City was destroyed. In 3 days? If Shen Jian hadn't said this, he would have just regarded it as a prank. But who is Shen Jian? The king of hell. And he is suspected to be the most famous king of Yama in the underworld mythology. What he said could not be a joke. Think of this. Qian Quan immediately contacted Daxia Longke from Binhai branch and transferred the call to Shen Jian. Qian Quan? I'm very busy now and have things to deal with. I'll talk about it later. A deep middle-aged voice sounded. You, such a big thing happened in Binhai, but you didn't report it? Let me ask you, what happened in Binhai City? Wang Tao, I'm not kidding you. Qian Quan yelled angrily. A supernatural incident that could wipe out an entire city was not reported to the Binhai branch commander. If Shen Jian hadn't reminded him, Binhai City would have been doomed. The impact of a city's population being wiped out is too great. Too big for anyone to bear. Shen Jian said nothing. Just listen. On the other end of the phone, Wang Tao, the commander of the Binhai branch of Daxia Dragon Bird, was silent. After a while, it was the voice that said hoarsely, things are not at their worst yet, we are sure. What the hell, are you still not telling the truth now? I'm telling you, you can't handle it. Where is the person in charge of your city? I remember that he is in the real world now, and you sent someone to deal with the supernatural incident without even telling him. He is also missing. Silence. There was silence again for a few seconds. Shocking news came from the other end of the phone. The person in charge of a city is missing. What? Missing? Qian Quan exclaimed, what on earth is going on? 7 days ago, we accidentally discovered a village called Rongjia Village. Because of the disappearance of Daxia Longke members, we sent people to investigate, but the investigators also disappeared there, which attracted our attention. When we sent special personnel to investigate, we accidentally discovered that this village turned out to be the legendary place of Yinqi. We don't know how it was formed. But according to the person in charge, if this place of Yinqi can be collected into if you use it yourself, Binhai City's player base will far surpass the progress of other players. So, the city leader of Binhai City chose to go deep into it to solve the supernatural events in this village. So far, no news has been returned. The commander on the other end of the phone said in a difficult tone. Hear this. Shen Jian's eyes moved. In the land of Yinqi, his Villa 001 is a small place of Yinqi. If the evil ghost lives in it all year round, the level of terror will increase. But it will definitely not reach the abyss level of destroying a city, or even the unsolvable level. In other words, in this Binhai death incident, the crisis does not come from a single evil ghost, but a tide of ghosts. Only the supernatural threat posed by hundreds or more evil ghosts is qualified to be called a ghost tide. An abnormal death incident occurred in Binhai City. It was probably caused by the outbreak of Yinqi in Rongjia village, and all the evil spirits living in it rushed out of the village. There are more than 100 fierce ghosts, and among them there are beings who can make the person in charge of the city lose track of them. They are either the top red ones or the ghost kings. Such a fierce ghost lineup is indeed capable of bringing down a city. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigua. Chapter 339. After figuring out the reason, Shen Jian hung up the phone. He had no interest in knowing what happened next. The whole thing is nothing more than a chance occurrence of a large Yinqi place in Binhai City, and they want to quietly take it as their own without disturbing other cities. but he mistakenly underestimated the terrifying level of ghosts in the Yinchi land. As a result, the city manager was also involved. Finally, it evolved into a disaster that destroyed the city 3 days later. There is actually a place of Yinchi in this world. Ghost sister-in-law Lurong was a little curious. I heard that the conditions for the formation of Yinchi land are extremely harsh. Every Yinchi land will be guarded by powerful ghosts. Didn't the human world recover supernaturally just a few years ago? Why do large Yinchi lands exist? Hear this. Shen Jian was also thoughtful. The same is true for Villa No 001 where he is. The specific origin can be traced back to the Republic of China. People at that time seemed to know how to arrange a small Yinchi place. As for the source of the evil ghost, it was born even earlier. At least during the Yongle period more than 700 years ago, the so-called river god already existed. The river goddess is a living proof. Did the underworld still exist at that time? Think of this. Shen Jian was suddenly stunned. Then another call was made. The voice of the river goddess sounded, "Husband. Do you need me to go on a mission?" "No, I would like to ask, during the Yongle period where you lived, have you ever heard of the legends about the underworld? For example, characters such as the underworld, the impermanence of black and white, the bull-headed horseface, the city god, the judge, and the king of hell." Have. Hearing this reply from the river goddess, Shen Jian was shocked. There actually is. How specific. At the beginning, I was forced to become the bride of the river god and was thrown into the river, but before that, I had received the news in advance. In the face of all kinds of destruction, the only thing I could do was to go to the city god's temple to pray. However, the city god's temple responded to me. Demands. The voice of the river goddess kept ringing. I saw with my own eyes that a talisman floated down from the statue of the city god. Relying on this talisman, I can replace the river god and become the new river god of Xiaoluo River. A bit of surprise flashed in Shen Jian's eyes. The city god personally gave him the talisman? As the current city god of Qing City, he naturally understands how difficult it is to hand over a talisman to a mortal for use, which requires a huge amount of incense. And if the city god can personally give him a talisman, wouldn't it be easier to just kill the river god? There is still one more achievement. Unless the city god is no longer able to show up, you can't even leave the city god's temple, so you choose the most cumbersome method. Shen Jian was thoughtful. If you want to ask more, the river goddess doesn't know. He could only suppress these thoughts for the time being. He turned to look at the two spectrums of good and evil. This abnormal death incident in Binhai City is the current focus. Shall I deal with it? Ghost sister-in-law Lurong said. I'll go, you go summon the evil ghosts in the ghost city. Those are your subordinates in the future. You have to say hello no matter what, and ask those ghost kings to come over. A large place of Yinchi is quite valuable. Finished. Shen Jian turned and left. The city god's hall in Binhai City has just been established, and Yinchi is a newcomer. It would be good to start a battle to quickly familiarize the evil spirits of these ghost towns with the position of Yinchi. There is also a large Yinchi land, which is extremely valuable. It can be used as a training ground for the underworld. Not long after. Shen Jian based on location. We came to a village called Rongjia Village. There are a large number of Daxia Dragon Bird members stationed at the entrance of the village. Shen Jian's arrival attracted their attention. You are Yama? The third person who just talked on the phone. A middle-aged man with unkempt hair and a sloppy beard walked over. It could be seen that he was in a very bad mental state at this time. He had heavy dark circles under his eyes and looked haggard. It was Wang Tao, the instructor of the Binhai City Daxia Longke branch. Shen Jian nodded. Wang Tao said bitterly, you have seen the situation before. Because of our selfishness, the person in charge of the city has been out of contact for 3 days. According to normal circumstances, if there is no contact for more than 3 days, it can be concluded that he is missing, but we can be sure that he is not dead. Just trapped in the village. Shen Jian nodded and asked, "What's going on in this village? I seem to see people living in it." "Mr. Shen, this is what's weird. We found that these villagers are not ghosts, but no matter how we persuaded them, these villagers were unwilling to leave here because they were afraid of disturbing the ghosts inside. We did not act rashly, and from the past few days, these villagers were unwilling to leave. From observation, it really doesn't look like there's a supernatural event happening here." Wang Tao tried his best to explain. The young man in front of him, who looks to be only in his mid-20s, is the person in charge of Qing City, codenamed Yan Luo. He is also a 4-star player, and this person's information is very special. With his authority, he cannot check it at all. Get some information about the person in charge. You know, as the commander of the Binhai branch, he can even find the official information of the person in charge of the Magic City, but he cannot find the information of the person in charge of a 4th-tier small city. This alone was enough for him to take it seriously. Not to mention, others still came to help him deal with the mess. "I see." Shen Jian nodded. Looking at the village from a distance, he walked straight in. Wang Tao gritted his teeth and followed in. Qian Quan obviously knew something inside, and told him that it was safe to stay with this person, and asked him not to neglect this person. "Mr. Shen, I know the situation here fairly well. I can be your guide," said. He also walked into the village. Soon, the two saw some houses. The entrance to the countryside comes into view. A woman with gray hair could be seen sitting in front of the door washing clothes. Seeing Shen Jian and his wife entering the village, the woman doing laundry looked up and looked at them curiously, then smiled politely. "Mom, do you know where the outsiders who came in a few days ago went?" Wang Tao took out several photos. There are photos of the person in charge of Binhai, photos of members of Daxia Dragon Bird, and photos of the unlucky guy Qi Shan. Apparently, Daxia Longke has investigated the source of the whole incident. No outsiders have ever come to our village." The grey old woman looked at it for a few times, shook her head and said. This sentence. Wang Tao was stunned on the spot. "No outsiders have been here? What a joke." Daxia Longke entered 3 groups of people one after another, including 2 3-star players, 1 4-star player, and a dozen ordinary members. How could there be no outsiders here? He subconsciously looked at Shen Jian. But he found that Shen Jian's attention had already stayed on the white cloth on both sides of the house. A white cloth is hung at the door of the house. This is a decoration that only people who have died in the family will have. He glanced at it, feeling cold all over the body. I saw rows of houses in front of them all hung with white cloth. This means that people are dead in every household. This is definitely not normal. It is highly possible that such a large-scale death is a supernatural event. He continued to ask, "Mom, what's going on with these white cloths? Is anyone dead?" "Oh, the first family died of an old man, the second family accidentally rolled down and fell to death while going up the mountain to cut firewood, and the third family accidentally fell in when they were digging a well. When they were fished out, they had already soaked and were still wet. There is a 4th house, a 5th house." The grizzled old woman spoke nonchalantly. In her eyes, these dead people seemed to be just numbers. There was no sign of sadness or discomfort on his face. Instead, it was like the people in the east of the city were discussing which house in the west of the city had died. However, this gray-haired old woman lived in the first house and was only 100 meters away from the others. She was a complete neighbor. This behavior seemed very abnormal. Wang Tao subconsciously took a step back and lowered his voice. "Mr. Shen, Is she also a ghost? Shen Jian glanced at it. There was a bit of disgust in his eyes. No, just a ghost slave. Said. He continued walking deeper. Rows of houses hung with white cloth make the atmosphere here seem a bit eerie. Shen Jian glanced around. Suddenly his eyes lit up. He saw a middle-aged man in mourning clothes in front of the last row of houses. He was kneeling in front of the house, his shoulders shaking from time to time, as if he was crying in mourning. Wu! My son, why did you die? Cries of mourning sounded. Wang Tao shivered. Sadness arises from the heart. The same goes for Shen Jian. Facing this poor middle-aged man who lost his son, Shen Jian has always had great sympathy. He walked over immediately. Listening to this poor man's desperate wailing, his eyes revealed a bit of sadness, and he comforted. You're crying so quietly, is it because you haven't eaten? Wang Tao. Howling ghost. Hear this. He was completely silent. When ordinary people see a death in someone else's home, shouldn't they come to comfort them? Is this comfort? If you didn't say this was a comfort, I would have thought you were here to provoke. Shen Jian looked concerned. What he actually meant was, seeing this poor man crying for so long, he must have been hungry, cold, and thirsty. Plus, he must be very sad after his son died. But think about it. It is found that it may not be suitable for practical application. Realizing that he had said something wrong, Shen Jian changed his words and apologized. Look around, don't be sad, you have to think on the bright side. What if this is not your son? In this way, wouldn't you have never had a son die? Howling ghost? God really thinks of the good. If this wasn't my son, could it be that of Lao Wang next door? Think of this. Wu! It's really possible to ride a horse. He cried even more sadly. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 340. Looking at the scene in front of me, Wang Tao was completely stunned. He is also a thriller game player. Although he only has 2 stars, he can become the instructor of Binhai City's Daxia Dragon Bird branch. His mental quality is extremely high. Be able to deal with supernatural events calmly. It can be said that it is difficult for anything to make him have violent mood swings. But now, he couldn't hold it any longer. Because Shen Jian was actually provoking a ghost. Still naked. It's just a matter of saying to his face that someone else's son is the son of Lao Wang next door. You're such a damn comforting person. Are you really not afraid of fierce ghosts? There is no money needed for supernatural beings, so you can use them as you like, right? Wang Tao's facial muscles twitched. I don't know how to describe Shen Jian's operation. This kind of behavior is the same as hating one's own longevity. Even a 4-star player at the city manager level can only face a red-coated level ghost at best. Some weird and highly concealed half-step red-clothed ghosts may even have the chance to kill 4-star players. Provoking evil spirits will do a lot of harm but no good. At the same time, the cries were also immersed in grief. My son has such good academic performance, is sensible, and well behaved. How could he be gone? The plaintive cries came one after another. The supernatural fluctuations are becoming more and more obvious. At this point, even a fool should know something is wrong. There was a kind of sadness that came from my heart, and I wanted to kneel down and cry with the man. It seems that the louder the cry, the easier it is to attract the sun back. However, Shen Jian seemed not to have heard it and suggested, I can also see that the relationship between your father and son is indeed very good. Let's do this. Since you miss your son so much, can I send you to see him? Howling Ghost. He was confused for a while. Looking up, Shen Jian's expression didn't look like he was joking. Grass. You are a dog. I'm so pitiful, and I lost my son in middle age, how can you do it? He also wanted to send me to meet my son. Damn it! Doesn't this mean to kill me? The howling ghost looked Shen Jian up and down. Ha, who is afraid of who? He cried and said, there is no resurrection after death. I know that I will never see my son again. That's not necessarily the case. Shen Jian waved his hand and raised his eyebrows. You know hell, you can always go to hell. Maybe you can get to know your son before drinking mangpo soup. Howling Ghost. God is going to hell. Doesn't this still mean that I want to die? He couldn't bear it anymore. The howling ghost stood up straight, and his mourning clothes were cut open. In his belly, a pale hand stretched out. That's a little boy. He is the man's son. He hid in his father's belly and under his clothes, seemingly playing hide and seek. The howling ghost smiled sadly. He looked up at Shen Jian. The eyes seemed to say, you see, my son has been hiding in my belly playing hide and seek. I can't scare you to death. See this. Shen Jian silently took out the black steel rod that had undergone more than a dozen transformations and was now comparable to the judge's underworld weapon. He also grinned, so your son is here. That's great. I will send you and your son to hell together, this way you will have a chance to get to know each other while drinking mangpo soup. Wang Tao. Little boy. Howling Ghost. Both father and son were stunned. Why don't we get to know each other here? Do you have to go to hell? You are a salesperson invited by hell. 3 sentences and 3 hell of a joke. GG. 2 bursts of laughter sounded out, one after the other. Send us to hell? Who will go to hell? Why not? The words have not yet fallen. Stopped abruptly. Shen Jian had already raised the black steel rod and hit it hard. 2 painful and unwilling sounds sounded. There is half a dark red star on the black steel rod. Shen Jian glanced at it. 2 half-step reds, with a gain of half a star, are pretty good. Skillfully stuffing the body into a sack, Shen Jian rushed towards the place where the yin qi was strongest. He has basically seen what happened along the way. White cloths are hung in every house. There was no trace of a ghost in the house. In his perception, the strongest distribution of yin qi was in the southeastern part of the village. Next comes the heartland. In 2 of these places there was the presence of the living. Apparently, at this time, the village is not at its most dangerous. There is still a chance of survival. Wang Tao followed behind, swallowing saliva. Mr. Shen, where are we going now? According to our test results in the past few days, the source of the yin qi here is located in the southeast, which is also the origin of the yin qi land, located in a cemetery in Rongjia village. During the conversation, Shen Jian has stopped. Arrive. The words fell. Wang Tao instantly became alert. Shen Jian also turned his attention to the 2-story dangerous building in front of him. A red banner hangs on the dangerous building. Teach you how to become a genius quickly in 36 days, the elite tutoring class welcomes you. This seems to be a private tutoring class, located in a 2-story dangerous building. Wang Tao's expression changed. Mr. Shen, there must be a lot of evil ghosts like this. Should we find other people first and then solve the trouble here? Shen Jian glanced at him. I'm here to save people, said. Shen Jian has already walked up. He rushed to Rongjia village because, on the one hand, this supernatural incident was too threatening and would make all the efforts made by Binhai City Gods Hall in vain and lose a territory in vain. On the other hand, he also wanted to take over the yin qi land in Rongjia village as his own. Certainly. He had another reason. That is to save people. The Binhai City God's temple was able to be renovated and completed in more than a month, and the person in charge, Qi Shan, was indispensable. He doesn't mind saving someone. Soon, Shen Jian walked up to the dangerous building. A Syrian-style classroom comes into view. The noise started. Wang Tao's face suddenly turned pale. Ghost. All are ghosts. By a rough count, he found that there were at least more than 15. All of them are Xingyi level or above. He even saw a red-clad ghost among them. There's more than one. But 3. This moment, Wang Tao's brain was down. A village with at most 400 to 500 people actually hid 3 red-clothed level ghosts. No wonder the city manager of Binhai City has lost contact. 3 red-clad fierce ghosts working together were enough to kill a 4-star player. This is no longer a supernatural incident that cannot be solved by a single city manager. Without the cooperation of more than 5 city managers, there is no way to get out of here. A flash of surprise also flashed in Shen Jian's eyes. Although he had known that this place was very dangerous, he was still a little surprised to see 3 red-clad ghosts so soon. After all, this is not a copy of a thriller game, but the real world. The appearance of a red-clothed level ghost was an A-level supernatural event at first, let alone 3. There were so many green-clad level ghosts present. If these ghosts could get out of Rongjia village, according to the level of horror in the real world, this can already be called an S-level supernatural event. There are only a few fierce ghosts in Rongjia village. A place of Yanqi can actually produce such a huge number of evil ghosts. Shen Jian's eyes flickered. The interest in his eyes grew stronger. His eyes swept over and landed on the last row. There were 2 humans there. Wearing a set of bloody clothes made from the skin and flesh of a fierce ghost, the blood clothes emit the same source of ghost fluctuations, covering up their living aura. It was Qi Shan who first entered Rongjia village and disappeared, and Wang Cheng, the detachment leader of the Daxia Longke Binhai branch. Shen Jian looked over. He knew both of them. One is a survivor who was responsible for the construction of the city god temple. One is the operations captain who handles the supernatural cinema. At this time, the 2 of them were sitting in the corner of the last row, with their heads lowered, not daring to peek at the other ghosts. They could only occasionally raise their heads to observe the situation. He quickly buried his head, afraid of being seen as something wrong. Captain Wang, things are getting worse and worse in Rongjia village. Where is the support you mentioned? It's been 7 days. Qi Shan lowered his voice. Want to cry but no tears. His life experiences in the past 2 months could be enough to write an autobiography. First, he escaped from a copy of the supernatural cinema, and then took the opportunity to catch up with someone who was suspected of being the city god. For this reason, he tried his best to help the other party build the city god's temple. Unexpectedly, in the final stage of the ending, he strayed into an even more terrifying supernatural place. For the past 7 days, he and Wang Cheng hid in this dangerous building and survived. But every time when classes start, you must come here to listen to the lectures. Otherwise, you will be found to be out of tune with other ghosts. Wang Cheng was also panicking visibly at this moment. As the captain of the Daxia Longke Binhai branch and a 2-star player of the horror game, he understands the horror here better than Kishan. This is simply not a crisis that Binhai City can solve. Leave it to fate. According to normal circumstances, someone will come to investigate the situation on the 3rd day after I disappear. If there is no support, there is only one possibility. The people who came to support have also fallen. Wang Cheng has already accepted his fate. They are a 2-star player and an ordinary person. It is basically impossible to escape from here, unless there is support. Crunch. At this time, there was a sound at the door. The expressions of the 2 people changed immediately. No more talking. The training instructor is here. Compared to the 3 red-clad ghosts present, this mentor ghost is only at the green-clad level, but it is also not a terrifying existence that they can provoke. At this time, a cursing voice sounded, "What are you doing? Is there any order? I'm teaching you to be a genius, not a clown." Who is the monitor? Qi Shan? Wang Cheng? Damn it. This tone is like taking some medicine. When did this mentor ghost become so powerful? Aren't you afraid of being eaten? The two looked confused. Look up. The pupils shrank. I saw Shen Jian walking in carrying an old professor wearing glasses. He casually threw the devil in his hand to the ground. The two of them were stunned. Thought I was dreaming. He rubbed his eyes and looked again, his heart was shocked. It is true. The support is really coming. Here comes a big shot. The kind that is hugged by golden thighs. The two of them were excited. It's worth noting that they struggled to survive here, and they finally had hope. At the same time, shocked by the strength in Shen Jian's tone, the originally noisy classroom fell silent. The first reaction of these village ghosts was to find a seat and sit down. Damn it! The mentor is here. Sit down quickly. Many villagers even took out small notebooks. Until 3 seconds later. Only then did Li Gui react. It's not right. The instructor has already asked someone to do it. He's still lying on the ground now. Moment. A red-clad fierce ghost stood up. He was burly, with the smell of blood all over his body, and he was wearing a bloody apron in front of him. It was obvious at a glance that he was a butcher who had rushed over after slaughtering something. The butcher ghost stared at Shen Jian with blood on his face. Human, you killed our mentor and then stood on the podium. Are you planning to give us extra food? He smiled sadly. The blood stains on his body became increasingly bright red. Shen Jian slapped the table. This old guy is a liar. He said he became a talent in 36 days. Do you believe this lie? The butcher ghost said with gloomy eyes, so? Human beings, do you think we are all fools and have been deceived? As soon as these words came out, in the back row, Qi Shan and Wang Cheng's expressions changed drastically. If this were admitted, wouldn't it mean that all the villagers present were fools? This can cause villagers to become instantly furious. All at once he offended all the evil spirits. But if they don't admit it, Shen Jian's act of beating the mentor ghost to death is enough to make them hold a grudge. Yes, human, what do you mean? Do you think I have been deceived too? Another red-clothed level ghost stood up, its eyes hollow and glowing with a faint red light. If you don't give us an explanation today, you'll just wait to be eaten. The last red-clad fierce ghost also laughed sinisterly. A bloody mouth had been opened, as if it was about to bite off Shen Jian's head. This moment, the entire atmosphere became chaotic. Countless pairs of terrifying eyes stared at Shen Jian. Looking at this scene, whether it was the two people in the back row or Wang Tao standing outside the door with a petrified face, their hearts were in their throats. Next moment, Shen Jian spoke with a regretful tone. It doesn't take 36 days to become an instant genius. Do you know that you are being cut off? I can give you the secret to becoming a genius in one day. Even an illiterate person can figure it out in one day. Group of ghosts. Everyone. After all, I dare you to knock down our instructor, just to promote your own class. You understand business competition. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 341. False business war, sending spies, manipulating people's hearts, laying out a huge plan, spending tens of billions. In one sentence, a company goes bankrupt. Real business war. In order to promote his own course, he beat another instructor to death. Looking at the mentor lying on the ground, all the villagers present twitched their mouths. Your business competition methods are 30 years ahead of the world. The butcher ghost couldn't hold himself any longer. Are you also a mentor? Shen Jian smiled and took out the gold medal teacher's ID card, and then put on the title of Blood Moon High School principal. His temperament suddenly changed 360 degrees. The villagers present felt a natural fear of students being dominated by teachers. Now you know, as a mentor, what I can't stand the most is this vicious behavior of deceiving the illiterate. Sit back, and from today on, I will train you, so that you can become illiterate in one day. As soon as these words came out, the ghosts subconsciously sat back in their seats. There was only one red-clothed level ghost with a big mouth open, staring at Shen Jian with dark eyes, and said sadly, "Hungry, I'm so hungry, human being, give me one bite, just one bite, and I'll eat it, I believe you." Hear this. Wang Tao's expression changed as he stood outside the classroom. Shen Jian finally used supernatural means to scare these villagers. As long as he can finish a lesson and take away the survivors, the crisis will be resolved. But the glutton's behavior ruined everything. This fierce ghost could no longer restrain the urge to kill. It was said to be a bite, but if the other party took one bite with his big mouth, the entire upper body would be eaten. But if he resists, will he be discovered to have been raped by an outsider? This moment, everyone's breathing became heavy. The other side. After hearing what greedy ghost said, Shen Jian's eyes turned cold and he took out the ghost's sword. I want to eat during class time, which shows that I have no self-control, and my studies must be inconsistent. How can such a person become a genius? How can you ruin my 100% admission rate? Said. Shen Jian swung the ghost's sword. A knife cut off the glutton's lifeline. Next moment, the glutton fell straight to the ground. Nothing supernatural. Ghosts? Damn it! What a 100% admission rate. Your admission rate is maintained at 100% by eliminating all students who cannot succeed. You're so ungrateful. All the evil spirits present were dumbfounded. I was beaten to death just because I wanted to eat in class. Is this really teaching them to become instant geniuses instead of instant corpses? This human being couldn't be playing tricks on them. Think of this. All the villagers exchanged glances, with gloomy expressions on their distorted faces. As if to say, him. Butcher ghost, him. At this time, Shen Jian took back the ghost knife. Why are you whispering to each other during class time? Don't you have any self-control? Snapped. Shen Jian slapped his hand on the podium. The huge lecture table turned into a pile of ashes. Many villagers below shuddered and struggled for a few seconds. Then they looked at the glutton who had fallen to the ground. They all withdrew their resentful expressions, like good babies. However, hear this threat. The butcher ghost decisively took out a butcher's knife from his body. The smell of blood assaulted his nostrils. He stared at Shen Jian with a pair of copper bell-like eyes and a ferocious smile. Even if you are a tutor, you cannot kill students at will. I suspect that you have no real materials at all and can't teach us anything. We unanimously decided to share the food with you and taste the meat on the tutor's body to see if there is any the taste of knowledge. Isn't that right, brothers? The butcher ghost's words stopped abruptly. Because when he turned his head, he was shocked to find that everyone else had their heads lowered. It has lost all its previous momentum. One by one, they were stunned. Damn it! Did you betray the revolution? Are you cowardly? This makes me act like a clown. He panicked. Looking at myself alone and helpless, my eyes are splitting. Damn thing. You guys actually sold me. You don't respect your teacher, and you still want to call your brothers, what? You want to learn from the underworld. Shen Jian's eyes were dangerous. The ghost sword has been raised. See this. The butcher ghost became even more panicked. Breaking into a cold sweat. Shouted, "Teacher, please listen to my explanation." "No, I won't listen." Shen Jian swung the ghost sword. The supernatural strikes again. Killed the butcher ghost. This moment, the whole classroom was quiet. No one dared to make a sound or even make eye contact. All of them lowered their heads. His face turned pale. Okay, the bad apples have been eliminated. Next, we should officially start the class. But I have to say something ugly up front. My teaching methods are a bit radical. If you can't keep up with the progress, don't blame me for punishing you. Group of ghosts. They nodded. Ah, yes, yes. Whatever you say at this time is right. We don't dare to refute it anyway. To this, Shen Jian was very satisfied. He wrote 1 + 1 = on the blackboard. He casually clicked on a Xingyi level ghost to answer. The Xingyi level ghost was very nervous. Because he felt this question was a bit insulting to him. Although he is illiterate, he doesn't even know common sense issues such as how much 1 + 1 equals. Wait, equal to, 2. That's right. Shen Jian nodded. Sit down. It seems that you all have a good grasp of the basics. In this case, my teaching progress can be more aggressive. Hear this. The fierce ghosts in the audience all showed relaxed expressions. The tense atmosphere dissipated. Hee. That's it? It's more radical than 1 + 1, which is nothing more than addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. They still have some knowledge of this. It seems that this class is just to verify their learning progress and there is no danger. Think of this. The ghosts raised their heads one after another, looking confident. Next, I will raise relevant questions around 1 + 1. You must learn to draw inferences and apply them flexibly. Shen Jian said, naming the last red-clothed level ghost. It's up to you, answer my question. The eye socket ghost stood up. His expression was full of disdain. He is the smartest among this group of villagers. Not to mention addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, he even touches some classical Chinese. Looking at these 10 miles and 8 villages, he can be regarded as a cultural person. Answering Shen Jian's question is not easy. Please prove Goldbach's conjecture. Shen Jian said casually. Good mentor. The eye socket ghost smiled confidently. Godbach, huh? Eye socket ghost? The smile on his face faltered. Goddamn Goldbach conjecture. Transition directly from 1 + 1 to the top 10 digital problems. Would you call this more radical? You are a dog. Nothing so radical. Teacher, your question is too complicated. How can it be proved? The eye socket ghost gritted his teeth. This human being was simply making things difficult for him. But after the other 2 red-clad ghosts crashed, he lost the initiative. Once this human caught the flaw, he would probably end up like the previous 2. Shen Jian smiled. The smile is very kind. It seems that this classmate is not serious about class. He wants to become a genius quickly. How can he not even think about this? His thinking is too rigid. Come, the tutor will help you open up your brain circuit. Said. Shen Jian took out a black steel rod. He swung it up and hit the eye socket ghost on the head. Damn it! Opening up my brain circuit means cracking open my head? The orbital ghost's eyes widened. Amidst the screams, he completely froze. See this. Other villagers were even more frightened. The 3 red-clothed level devils were all dead. What is the origin of this human being? How could it be so terrible? The ghosts were as silent as cicadas. All of them lowered their heads. Afraid of being noticed by Shen Jian and asked to answer questions. They want to delay. As long as they wait until get out of class is over, they can leave here and escape from this human being. However, Shen Jian would not give this chance. The smile on his face grew stronger. I just taught you Chinese pronunciation, now who will recite the road to Shu is difficult for me. What? I don't know a word? You can tell at a glance that you didn't pay attention to the class. Laugh. Beheading with a ghost sword. I have taught you the multiplication table. Who is going to calculate the total length from here to the center of the earth? You don't know this? You must have deserted during class. Don't be afraid, close your eyes, it's not gone. Boom. The black steel rod came down. Inside and outside the classroom, Qi Shan, Wang Cheng, and Wang Tao were completely confused. They had only one thought in their hearts at the moment. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! How did you do that? There are more than 20 fierce ghosts, 3 red-level ghosts, and a dozen green-clothed level ghosts. This lineup could trigger a terrifying S-class supernatural event outside. Without the cooperation of more than 5 city leaders, there would be no way to solve the crisis. But at this moment, the source of this S-class supernatural incident has been disintegrated. Like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered, they were slaughtered wantonly. When did it become so easy to deal with the red-clothed evil spirit? This is so dreamy. Wang Tao and the other 3 looked horrified. Also a 4-star player. The person in charge of Binhai City is trapped in this situation and cannot protect himself. The person in charge of Qingxi was able to kill people inside. Highlight an unscrupulous person. The gap is probably too big. Soon. Shen Jian walked out of the classroom. He was holding a large sack in his hand. A smile appeared on his face. Behind Kishan, Wang Cheng looked at the empty classroom and followed blankly. Are you rescued? Why is there always a sense of unreality? Those were more than 20 fierce ghosts. Was he wiped out like this? Several people secretly looked at the sack on Shen's body. The sack was bulging. From time to time, the wailing sounds of evil spirits could be heard. Have you noticed anything unusual about this village since you have been here for so long? Shen Jian asked casually. Wang Cheng said seriously, yes, there is something strange about the tombs here. When we came in on the first day, we found something was wrong. Not only were there dead people in every household here, but when we wanted to go out, we found that we were unconscious. Suddenly he returned to the same place. According to our investigation, everything here is caused by the first death of the old man. Folks have always said that the first 7 souls return, and today is the day when the old man returns. When we passed the cemetery, we found coffins placed on top of the tombstones instead of buried in the ground. There were more than 300 such coffins. The earliest time is for the soul to return today, and the latest time is 3 days later. Speaking of which, there was a clear trace of fear on Wang Cheng's face. There are more than 300 coffins, and each coffin contains a corpse. In the first 7 soul nights, there are 300 ghosts. What? As soon as these words came out, Wang Tao's expression changed drastically. What a joke. More than 300 fierce ghosts. This can already flatten Binhai City. Shen Jian's eyes also moved. Right. The day of the first 7 souls is when these fierce ghosts rush out of Rongjia village. Only then will the abnormal death event of 350,000 people in Binhai recorded in the spectrum of good and evil occur. Buzz. At the moment when everyone's hearts were shocked. Far away. The monstrous yin energy erupted violently. The suana sounded. It was as if there was a funeral procession, blowing the suana, to send someone to the cemetery. Shen Jian's eyes moved. He looked towards the center of the village. Wang Tao even took out a ghost compass. The compass spins rapidly once, twice, 3 times. Then. Guide broken. Wang Tao's legs and feet went weak. He staggered and fell to the ground. His ghost guide can detect the yin-chi of the top red-clad ghosts. There is only one possibility for the ghost guide to break. Ghost King.